This weekend started like any other Saturday. John woke up later than usual, kissed his wife, with whom he had been married for 17 years. She lazily waved him off, muttering, "Johnny, let me sleep. You're restless at night, and in the morning too. Besides, the girls are probably awake by now. They're grown-ups." Yes, grown-ups. Grown-ups don't enter their parents' bedroom. "Leave me alone, I'm sleeping." John got up, put on a robe, and headed to the shower. On the way, he heard noise and squeals from his elder daughter Emily's room. As he understood, her sister Victoria was there, pulling her out of bed. He didn't bother them. After showering and drying himself thoroughly, he got dressed and went to the kitchen. The girls, having finished their squabble, were already sitting at the table. Emily asked, "Are we getting fed today? We're hungry. We have to go to school." "Girls, what school? It's your winter break. You're going to your grandmother's." "What school?" "It's your winter break. You're going to your grandmother's. Go wash up and brush your teeth. The porridge will be ready in 15 minutes. John quickly prepared breakfast for the girls. Meanwhile, Melissa came out of the bedroom and went to the bathroom. The girls sat down at the table and had breakfast. Soon, fresh and styled Melissa joined them. John looked at his wife, dressed in his shirt. Even after all these years, just looking at her could stir emotions in men. John acknowledged that she was beautiful, although every man has his own idea of female beauty. He loved her, but an insurmountable barrier had arisen between them. Melissa took her place at the table and said to the girls, "Finish up and start getting ready. Today, your dad will take you to my mom's, your grandmother's. You'll spend the break there. Mom, you promised we'd go to the ski resort for a week. We even prepared our ski suits and wanted to celebrate New Year together. Girls, life doesn't always give us what we want. But we'll definitely go to the ski resort during the spring break. There won't be any snow then, or we might go to the Pamirs. They say there's snow in the mountains all year round. Finished eating? Go get ready." John didn't like the way Melissa was pushing the kids out to her mother's, especially the deception about the trip, which he himself had been preparing for. He saw a certain coldness in their relationship. His wife had started to distance herself from the family. This coincided with the appearance of a new commercial director at her work, Arthur Nicholson. Moreover, John knew that he had dated Melissa in university. However, Melissa hadn't bothered to tell him about her new boss. This worried him, but he believed that his wife would find the strength not to stoop to an affair with Arthur. He even thought about meeting him and talking, but decided it would only worsen his relationship with his wife. Nevertheless, he increased his control over his spouse, but as far as he knew, nothing had happened between them yet, except for some light flirting. Today's decision by his wife to send the kids to her parents meant that something was going to happen during these long holiday weekends, and he would probably be informed about it. He was ready for the conversation and to comprehend what she would tell him, always keeping a dictaphone ready. When all this started, his tears had dried up and his heart had hardened. He saw that his wife was destroying their family. For him, the main thing now was to keep his daughters. John understood that a conversation was coming. Melissa had to get rid of him somehow. Kira had already warned him about this, but Melissa didn't know that. John, before the conversation, went to the bathroom, washed his hands, turned on the dictaphone, and hid it in his chest pocket. Then he returned to the kitchen and sat down at the table. Melissa was silent for a minute, then looked at John, smiled at him, but the smile quickly disappeared, replaced by a very serious expression. She announced, "John, we need to discuss something urgently." The way she said it left no doubt that John would not like this conversation, but he didn't show it and, pausing from eating, asked, "Is something wrong?" "Johnny, everything is fine. You know that I love you. I love only you, and for many years, you have been a wonderful lover and husband, an excellent father to our girls. I want to live with you until we grow old. Yes, and die on the same day. And what's stopping us? I'm a sociologist by education. Those who graduated from our university. Sociologists, with the help of population surveys and mathematical data processing, find out what is really happening in society, reveal the causes of negative phenomena, and give recommendations for improvement. Although I work as a marketer and as a sociologist I conduct marketing research, I still closely follow all the news in sociology. Svetlana, it's all very unclear and complicated. Can you get to the point? I read about what leads to the breakdown of marriages and want to minimize the probability that something bad will happen to us. And what can happen to us? We must be as active as possible, then we can prevent some fairly common traps that lead to marriage failure. Svetlana, I can tell you've read some nonsense from another self-important person seeking attention. I don't believe in such sociological conclusions. Tell me, what nonsense are you talking about? Melissa indignantly snorted and announced, John, I'm being very serious. I'm worried about our family, that we might lose each other. Our current behavior will lead to us drifting apart and eventually ending our relationship. Okay, what do we need to do? I'm a technical person, not a sociologist. Maybe we need to see a psychologist. I've thought about this for a long time and come to a conclusion. We need a creative break from our marriage while we both explore our interpersonal and sexual nature. We need to get to know other places and people so that when we reunite, we will have a much broader understanding and life experience to support our relationship. And how long is this supposed to last? A month, a year? No, what are you talking about? I think 2 weeks of holiday break will be enough. That's why, instead of the ski resort, the kids are going to your mother's. We could have sent them to your parents, but I already agreed with Mom. In other words, to spend long weekends with your lover. You two sociology specialists came up with this obvious nonsense to get my consent. Did I understand correctly? John was completely shocked by Melissa's approach. Her brazen proposal stunned him, although he wasn't very surprised. He had already suspected this, but her words hurt him deeply. Melissa, still not connecting what John had said, explained. I have no idea what lover you're talking about. I know you don't like this, but you'll see that nothing will change between us. I'll make sure you're incredibly happy when we reunite. Yes, it's selfish of me, but I have a reason that justifies me. I want to live with you until old age. You won't understand this now, but as soon as you do, you'll apologize to me. Don't you understand? What lover am I talking about? I'm talking about your new commercial director, Arthur Nicholson. You had a big love affair with him in university. But when he got tired of you, he dumped you. After that, you quickly switched to me. Now, I wasn't told a single word that your former classmate became your commercial director. And you're wrong about everything else too. What am I wrong about? You're wrong in saying that nothing will change. Everything will change. Or rather, everything has already changed. What has changed? Your attitude towards me and our children has changed. Everything in our family is changing today. John, I love you, and I don't know what you're imagining. Melissa, I don't know how you'll explain this to your parents, how you'll explain it to Emily and Victoria, what they'll think about their parents' divorce. John, what are you talking about? We're not getting a divorce, and what's happening between us is none of our parents' business. You understand, sociology is an exact science. Don't fit the science to the theory you and your lover made up. I see you're going to complicate everything. That's why I'm going to postpone everything. You'll take the girls, come back, and we'll sit down and solve this problem. Svetlana, we won't solve anything. I'm just leaving. But you can't do this to me. I can and I will. I'm not going to do what you suggested. I think you would do the same. And I didn't plan this, like your decision to divorce. Spontaneous. I just decided this now. John, but I said I'm canceling everything. Yes, that's right. And then said that when you come back, we'll sit down and talk about it. So you'll be pushing for your freedom again during these long weekends. And while I'm taking the girls, you'll be consulting with your Arthur." Emily entered the kitchen and announced, "Dad, we're ready to go." "Very good, girls. I'll be ready in 5 minutes." John quickly got dressed, took his laptop, grabbed his backpack, and without saying goodbye to his wife, went downstairs. He started the car and let it warm up a bit. The girls sat in the back seat, and they drove off. Melissa watched them go, bewildered. John carefully drove onto the main road. No one spoke in the car. Finally, Emily said, "Dad, Grandma lives in the other direction." "I know, honey. But you were promised a ski resort, and that's where we're going now." "And where will we stay?" "We'll figure something out." "Dad, are you and Mom getting a divorce?" "Why did you decide that, Dad?" "We heard you arguing in the kitchen today. And I'm on your side." "And you, Victoria?" "Me too, I'm with Dad. But where will we live?" "Girls, we'll live at my mom's. I'll take you to school, pick up your books and clothes. And for now, let's get rid of all the silly thoughts and go have fun. You deserve it." Melissa, watching the departing car, grabbed her phone and started calling Arthur. He answered right away. "Arthur Nicholson, it's Melissa. I have a problem." "Go ahead, speak." "I'm alone, and my wife has already left. She's coming in the evening. She went to the store, probably getting ready for the trip." "What's going on with you?" "He didn't behave as we expected. He didn't believe me." "Who are you talking about?" "My husband. I suggested to him, as we agreed, to separate for 2 weeks, and he said he knows about you and our relationship in university. Said he's getting a divorce." "That's bad. Very bad. This will cause a huge scandal. It will reach our office gossips, and from them to Kira." "Yes, Kira. I'm not interested in a divorce from my wife." "You've never been interested. You tell me, what should I do now?" "Is your husband back yet?" "No, he has to take the girls to my parents and come back. I'm sure he'll come home and won't go anywhere. Tell him you've decided there will be no temporary separation." I told him, but he didn't believe me. He thought I would try to convince him to agree to what I suggested when he comes back. "When will he be back?" "I think in 3 to 4 hours. Let's do that. Tell him you've made a decision and there will be no separation. We need to put out this flare-up, and it absolutely must not reach our office. Otherwise, we'll be in big trouble." Melissa ended the call. Now that she had Arthur's support, she felt a little better. Remembering the proverb that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, she decided to set the table. To avoid cooking, she got dressed and went to a cafe, where she ordered several dishes to go, took out a bottle of wine, placed a corkscrew nearby, set 2 glasses, put the takeout food in the microwave, went to the living room, turned on the TV, and sat in a chair, lost in thought. Was it worth it? A brief affair with an ex-lover leading to the destruction of a family. Now, convincing her husband of anything would be incredibly difficult, and it was unclear what he knew about her and Arthur. She regretted not telling her husband that her classmate had become the commercial director. She knew that sooner or later he would find out. And now it turned out that John knew about her relationship with Arthur and that he had left her. And that was the truth. Back then, Arthur had simply disappeared, and now he had suddenly reappeared. When she found out that he would be their commercial director, Melissa melted, although she understood that it would just be an affair, nothing more. Their first private conversation confirmed this. He said, "Melissa, I've always liked you, but I can't risk destroying my family. Although I'm not ready to give up meeting you. Everything must be very secret. You're married too, as far as I know." And now life had shown her how foolish her decision had been. Although they had tried to back up their plan with scientific reasoning during their office conversations, it seemed they had missed something. For hours had passed. John hadn't returned, although by now he should have been back. Melissa called her mom's number. She answered, not right away. "Hello, daughter, what is it?" "Yes, I called to see how you're doing." What's going on here? It's winter, it gets dark early. We're sitting here with your grandfather, arguing. What? It's just a habit, an old people thing. He had a drink, and I told him not to. But he found a way. I hid the bottle from him. And how are you doing? When will you bring the grandkids to visit? From the conversation with her mom, Melissa realized John hadn't been there. After ending the call with her mom, she called John's parents. His father, a military retiree, answered. Melissa, what can I do for you? Hello, Elon. I thought I'd call and see how you're doing. Melissa, don't lie. You're looking for John and the kids. He warned us about this. So, has he been to your place? No, he hasn't come. He called and said you're getting a divorce. What nonsense. No one's getting a divorce. I agree that we had a misunderstanding. But we're not going to divorce over such nonsense. I understood that this is not just between the two of you. It's also about you and some man from your work. Elon, what exactly did he tell you? He said that this morning at breakfast, you suggested separating for 2 weeks. When he didn't agree, you said you would cancel the temporary separation, but you would discuss everything when he returns. And that's it? No. John said he's had enough discussions and decided to divorce. And until the end of the long weekend, he won't be here to discuss anything. So you can go on your planned date. Although I think you're still at home, waiting for him to discuss how to make him wear horns. But I don't have any dates planned. Svetlana, that's not true either. John knows who you're meeting with. And when I suggested he go there and sort it out in person, he replied, Dad, I'm not interested. I have daughters, and they're on my side. And where he went, he didn't tell us. We were so upset that we didn't even ask him. Elon, if he calls, tell him he misunderstood everything. I was trying to do what's best for our family. Now I see that I did something wrong. I don't know, daughter. Your mother and I have lived our whole lives together. But even in the toughest times, we never thought about living apart. Who put this nonsense in your head? And if you love another man, why torture everyone? If you're ready to run to your lover, leaving your husband and kids, then just pack up and go. Don't ruin your life and others. John will get over it and maybe find someone else. He's not old and still handsome, and the girls will be better off with him. Elon, what are you saying? There will be no divorce. That's what you think. I know my son, and you, it seems, don't know him. I just need to explain everything to him, and he'll understand that he was wrong. As you wish. If he calls, I'll tell him everything. Melissa called Arthur's number, and unexpectedly a woman answered. Hello. I'm looking for Arthur Nicholson. Who is this? This is Melissa. We work together. Yes, I know. But listen, sweetheart. I kicked him out, and he has no phone. Is something wrong? You know very well. Because of this scoundrel and womanizer, I've moved cities twice. But I'm not leaving this new house. I like it here. And where is Arthur Nicholson? How should I know? I kicked him out. Maybe he's with you already. I don't know where you live, and why would he be with me? Yes, he knows everything, including where you live. And why would he be with you? Because he started an affair with you at work. Although you weren't the only one. And he had such plans. He was going to meet with all of you while I was at the sanatorium. But I wasn't planning to go anywhere. John was driving to the ski resort with his daughters. Far from the city, he had acquaintances among the staff there. On the way, he called one of them and found out that Elon, his former classmate, had made a career and become the director of the resort. Explaining the situation to him, John asked if he could stay with his daughters for the winter break. Elon replied, Johnny, anything for you. Will a cabin for 3 do? That would be perfect. Great. I actually have a cancellation from a company, so 3 cabins are available. I'll reserve one for you. That would be great. But I have a request. If anyone calls, don't confirm that I'm staying at the resort with my daughters. Understood. I'll reserve the cabin in my name. When will you arrive? I have about 50 kilometers left. Should be there in about an hour and a half. That's quick. I won't be driving. It's slippery. Perfect. I'll set the table in your cabin. See you soon. An hour and a half later, they arrived at the ski resort gates. They told the guard at the entrance that they were there to see Ilan Ivanovich, and he showed them the way. The cabin had an open parking area with a roof. John parked the car, and they took their things inside. Ilan was sitting at the table. Seeing the guests enter, he exclaimed, "Come in quickly. The food on the table is getting cold. You're always in a hurry. Let my girls freshen up, wash their hands, and look around. There are 2 bedrooms upstairs and 1 downstairs." Emily and Victoria, grabbing their things, went upstairs. Soon, a heated argument over the rooms broke out upstairs. Listening to them, Ilan said, "They shouldn't have gone up there. This cabin is designed for 4. So you have a bed for 2 downstairs and your own shower. My girls outdid themselves. They even made shashlik for us. Come on, put down your things, and let's have a drink. Why are you rushing? Tomorrow my wife and sister are coming. You won't let me drink then. You never drink. I could have set the table in the cafe, but I work here and don't want my subordinates to see me tipsy. Besides, I'm an athlete." John and Ilan sat at the table when Emily and Victoria came downstairs, already changed into tracksuits. The argument upstairs had been resolved, with the elder sister giving in to the younger one. Ilan admired John's daughters and said, "Beauties are growing up. And where's Melissa? Why didn't she come? That's a separate question. Let's talk about it later. Come on, let's drink to our reunion, friends." They drank to their reunion and, snacking, reminisced. Occasionally, their conversation was interrupted by John's daughters asking questions. Eventually, full in content, Victoria asked Ilan, "What other entertainment is there at the ski resort?" "There's a dance evening happening in the main building right now." "Oh, but we didn't bring anything for dancing." "There's no dress code. You can go too. I called one of my staff, and he'll take you there." Ilan made a call, and 5 minutes later, a young man came running and took Emily and Victoria away. After they left, Ilan asked, "What's going on with your wife? Are you getting a divorce? Why? You remember when I was dating her, there was a rumor that she had a lover." "Yes, there were rumors, but nothing concrete. So this former lover of hers showed up in our city and, moreover, became the commercial director at the company where Melissa works. They started an emotional affair, which I didn't notice at first. But he has a wife, Kira. She decided to divorce her husband. She told me what to expect. And today it happened. She came up with the idea that during the long holidays, we shouldn't relax together. Supposedly, this is necessary to preserve our marriage until old age. I've never trusted sociologists. Sociology is when people who don't understand society conduct some kind of research and then make everyone live by the laws they supposedly discovered. But in reality, they just made them up. You're right about that. And they made it up for me too. What did you decide?" "When I talked to her, I realized that further life together would be impossible, and I decided to divorce. And now what? Nothing. I'll figure out how it's done. By the way, tomorrow a company is coming here. They're lawyers. Their office is in the city center. I'll ask them to help. For you. And now, come on, pour me another drink." Around 11 p.m., Emily and Victoria returned from the dance. The ski resort staff member had taken his duty seriously and escorted them to the cabin. John organized a late dinner for the girls. They ate together and then went to their rooms. John sat on his bed, barely holding back tears. Today had been a very difficult day for him. He couldn't forget what Melissa had done. He turned on the dictaphone and listened to the recording he had made. He decided that in the situation that had unfolded, he had made the only right decision. Melissa hadn't waited for her husband and didn't know where he could have gone with the daughters. But she remembered that he had said they should keep their promises. They had promised the girls a trip to the ski resort. So, he must have gone somewhere there. And probably, a reservation had been made in advance. She turned on the computer that John usually worked on, and after a long search, found nothing. He hadn't researched any ski resorts in the area that morning. John opened his eyes when someone knocked on his door. He said, "Come in." His daughters burst into the room, squealing and shouting with the offer. "Dad, get up. Let's go have breakfast, and then go sledding. On the slopes. And then we can go ice skating. There's a rink here too." "Where will we have breakfast?" "In the cafe." "Go wash up. I'll be ready in 5 minutes." They went to the cafe and had breakfast. After that, they changed, rented skis, and took the lift up the mountain. They skied until lunchtime. At lunch, they changed again and went back to the cafe. There, they met Elon and his wife. In passing, Elon mentioned, "That company I told you about has arrived. Among them, there's a specialist in divorce cases. I told him about the situation, and he agreed to help. Today, you'll meet in my office. There's a computer and a printer there. Everything you need. And I'll take your girls ice skating with my wife and her sister. In the evening, if you don't mind, we'll gather at my place. The girls will want to go dancing again, and we'll go with them. And then we'll come back to my place, and if you haven't forgotten, we'll celebrate the new year. We need to prepare our livers for the holiday." Everything fell into place. After lunch, John went with Elon to his office. Soon, an attractive woman arrived. She was the lawyer. They sat in Elon's office and discussed everything. Natalia explained the current legislation to John, which he knew only superficially. She talked him out of hasty actions regarding the apartment, explaining, "You see, your girls will grow up and start their own families. And then they'll have to deal with housing issues. And if you move out with them now, a new husband might move in. Then the court proceedings will become more expensive and complicated. But I can't imagine living in the same apartment with her. Try to imagine it and suggest an apartment swap to her. But first, explain to your wife that you're filing for divorce in court. And when the application is ready, it's not urgent. The courts also have long holidays. I have my laptop with me. I'll prepare everything for you, and then we'll print it out. Besides, you can come to our office. Or you can invite me to represent you in the court hearing. I like your last proposal." John and his daughters celebrated the new year together with Elon, his wife, and her sister in the large hall of the ski resort. They were joined by the company of lawyers. Besides them, there were many other vacationers, music, fun, and dancing. They left the main hall at dawn, but John took his daughters back to the cabin earlier. They were tired and already nodding off, wanting to sleep. John returned to the company, and after everything wrapped up in the main hall, they gathered in his cabin and sat by the fireplace. Later, they all went to their own cabins. The rest of the vacation went as planned: skiing, ice skating, and dancing in the evenings. Eventually, Elon asked, "John, how are you feeling? You know, besides the fun during the day, there were also nights when I thought a lot. Today, I'm ready for confrontation like never before." The day came when John and his girls packed up to head home. Before leaving, he talked to them and explained that they shouldn't lose the apartment. They stopped by a shopping center and bought groceries. They arrived home after dark. Emily and Victoria immediately went to their rooms and started moving things from Victoria's room to Emily's. Soon, Melissa appeared and asked, "What are you doing?" "Dad will live in Victoria's room now, and Victoria will share a room with me." "But why?" "That's just how it is. You, as a specialist in murky sociological theories, should understand. But just in case, I'm warning you, no lovers in the house. You can hang out wherever you want, but I won't tolerate any of your lovers here. By the way, I'm filing for divorce." When they finished moving the furniture and things, the girls started getting ready for school. John went to the kitchen and started preparing dinner and breakfast for the next day. Melissa followed him and started a conversation. "John, what's wrong with you? Why did the man I loved disappear? Have you stopped fighting for me?" "Fighting? Are you crazy? My heart is destroyed by what you planned. I hope everything worked out for you and you had a wonderful holiday with your Arthur. Or did he dump you again? And family life is not a battle. It's mutual respect and trust, not planning temporary separations." "John, you're wrong again. I said I was canceling the temporary separation and suggested we discuss it. And you decided you'd had enough empty discussions and left. I don't trust you. And now don't bother me. I need to feed the kids. But I have something to feed them. And I have nothing." "How?" Melissa didn't try anymore, and John didn't react to her. She went into the girls' room. "Emily, Victoria, don't you want to see me or something?" "You guessed right. I didn't miss you at all." "And you, Victoria?" "Emily, don't bother me. I'm getting ready for school." All week, John, Emily, and Victoria lived separately from Melissa, deliberately ignoring her presence in the house. John installed locks. He prepared breakfast, lunch, and dinner for himself and his daughters. Every Friday evening, a courier would bring a registered letter with a receipt. It was a court summons. Attached to it was a complaint. After reading the content, Melissa rushed into the kitchen, where John was having dinner with his daughters, and cried, "John, why the divorce? I thought we could work things out. I advise you to find a lawyer and discuss it with him. Talk to your lover. Maybe he'll give you some advice. I don't have anyone. And Arthur Nicholson has disappeared. He hasn't been to work since the new year. Girls, have you finished eating?" They went up to their room without saying a word to Melissa. "Melissa, I love you and our girls. How can you not understand that? What does my love for you have to do with this? I loved you, but only until I found out that you were planning to cheat on me with your old friend, and whose appearance you didn't even bother to tell me about. I realized that loving you was foolish. I wanted to talk to you, but you didn't come home. Do you want to talk? Fine, talk. Tell me about your made-up holiday plans and how you were going to spend them. I haven't heard your fantastic sociological conclusions, invented by your friend, in a long time. Tell me your new stories, and how you spent these holidays. Did you enjoy it? I think it was great. The fact that your friend disappeared again, tell me about it. Let's talk about it." "John, I didn't want to talk about that. I wanted to talk about us. I'm sorry. I thought you would now tell me about the new theory of sociology you and your gentleman discovered. But I don't want to talk about it. Maybe you can only talk about us in the past tense. There is no us in the present, and you did that." John finished his dinner and collected the dishes in the sink. Hearing the clatter of cups, Emily came in and said, "Dad, it's my turn today to do the dishes. I just put them in the sink. Did you do your homework?" "Of course, I did it as soon as I got home from school. And Victoria did hers too. Go to your room and tidy up. And I'll take care of the dishes. And then I'll iron your clothes. They're already dry." Melissa, seeing that she was completely ignored in the conversations and that no one wanted to talk to her, started crying and went to her room. John quickly washed the dishes, turned off the light, and went to his room, where a pile of laundry he had washed over the past few days lay, waiting to be ironed before bed. John went into the kitchen. There, in the dark, sat Melissa. Seeing him, she said, "John, everything that happened was not planned. It just happened. We dated with Arthur in university, and then he suddenly disappeared. No one teased me or made fun of me because of it. Few people knew we were dating, and few knew that he suddenly left me. He appeared at our company. We started communicating within the framework of work, and once he invited me to lunch. At first, it was just lunch, nothing more. But then something changed. But he immediately told me that there would be no dubious meetings. Everything had to be well thought out, and exclude the detection of our dates by our spouses. I agreed because I understood that this affair would not continue. This temporary separation was supposed to be our first date. And that's why you came up with this nonsense to hang on my ears. I didn't understand how it had gone so far. And I agreed to Arthur's proposal. Svetlana, don't you see that he was just playing with you? Can you really be so naive? No, it's just that I haven't heard from you in so long about how good you look, how stylish you dress, how modern your haircut is. Svetlana, don't hang all this on me. The fact that I didn't tell you every day how good you look doesn't justify your affair. It turns out that today you're ready to have an affair with anyone who says nice words to you. So, today you're going to cheat on me with every compliment you get. In the end, everything you say is not an excuse for your affair. Svetlana, don't put this on me. The fact that I didn't tell you every day how good you look doesn't justify your affair. It turns out that today you're ready to have an affair with anyone who says nice words to you. So, today you're going to cheat on me with every compliment you get. In the end, everything you say is not an excuse for your affair. The next few days, John was busy preparing for the meeting with representatives of the Child Protection Services. According to his lawyer Natalia, this was inevitable. Their conclusion for the court was essentially decisive, although the children's opinions were also taken into account. John had a lot to do in a short time, and at night, when he was alone, he would lie awake for a long time, thinking about love and betrayal, sorting out his feelings. The most important person in his life had betrayed him, and now he felt anger and pain. All he wanted now was a divorce. There was no doubt about that. He already knew for sure that he could no longer trust Melissa. This marriage was a thing of the past. John had to think about the children. He felt a little guilty that the children had turned away from their mother and completely ignored her. Melissa, in one of the conversations, told him that regardless of what happened between them, the children were not to blame. And today she claimed that for the sake of the children, they should stay married. That the children would be better off if they tried to make their marriage work. To which John replied, I believe that the children should know that their parents love them no matter what. Our girls are not to blame for what happened. At the same time, they are old enough to judge us. And note, I didn't tell them anything. They just heard you hanging that temporary separation nonsense on me for the long holidays. And they assessed everything correctly. John, children can't judge what happened to them correctly. They lack life experience and understanding of life. Melissa, I'm proud of our children. They quickly figured out what was going on between us and your lover. They discussed it among themselves, and I don't think their decision was easy for them. When we left, they were incredibly angry with you. After talking to them, I changed my plans for the long holidays, and in general, all my plans for the future. The girls know what's going on, and more than you think. The girls hate me. For a person with a higher sociological education, you are quite perceptive. I didn't even expect that. Yes, they know that their mother is a cheater. And yes, they hate you for it. You can, of course, try to make peace with them. But as a sociologist, you have studied the field of psychology that deals with the patterns of human behavior and activity. I hope you know what adolescence is. The period from 10 to 16 years is called transitional. Children transition from childish behavior to adult behavior. They experience serious physiological changes. How will you find a way to connect with them? I don't know. All the time until their court hearing turned into pleas and persuasions. Finally, they met in the courtroom. The hearing was preliminary. They were given time for reconciliation. After it ended, John proposed to Melissa to sign an agreement regarding the children in case of divorce. According to his proposal, the girls would stay with him under his care. Melissa, after hearing everything, declared, I won't sign any agreement. Then I will have to take it to court. Go ahead. The court will hear me, invite the girls and hear their opinion, and make a decision. You understand that it will not be in your favor. And you don't know this. The court's decision can be appealed. Melissa, I understand that I was a fool. I know that what I wanted to do was wrong. But please understand me. I love you, and Arthur will never be in my life again. You decided to replace him with another man. Although that's your personal business. That's your life. Listen, don't cling to words. And express your thoughts more concretely. You're a sociologist, after all. And now, sorry, I'm a bit busy. If you decide to sign the agreement, it has to be done in the presence of a notary. John, as a general rule, an agreement on determining the residence of children does not require mandatory notarization. This is what distinguishes it from an alimony agreement, which has the force of an enforcement order. Although yes, it is recommended to draw up and certify this document with a notary. Thank you, but she doesn't want to sign anything. And I don't need it. Besides, as a result, she won't get anything. The deadline given by the court to the parties for reconciliation passed. Melissa made desperate attempts to reconcile with her daughters, but nothing worked. After school, the girls started taking computer science classes. They would return home with their father. After a light snack, they would often do their homework in their father's room. At this time, John would prepare dinner and breakfast for the next day. One day, representatives of the Child Protection Services came to visit them. They talked to the girls, inspected their room, and drew up an act. They arrived at the court hearing on time. John was clarifying some questions with his lawyer. Melissa entered the courtroom and took her seat. She didn't have a lawyer, but she had consulted with a legal consultation and divorced friends and clearly understood. She wouldn't be able to save her marriage. During the proceedings, she answered the court's questions simply, yes or no, without elaborating. At the end of the hearing, Melissa announced that she was waiving her share of the apartment in favor of her daughters and handed a deed of gift to the judge through the court. She said that she had already moved out and taken some of her personal belongings from her room. What was left, she would take within a week. She asked for a recess in the court hearing so that she could sign the agreement regarding the children proposed by John. After the recess, she additionally reported, I am willing to voluntarily pay alimony to John for the maintenance of the children, since I understand that the court's decision will not be in my favor. To which John replied, to avoid any doubts about where the money received by me as alimony goes, I propose that the defendant open separate accounts for each of the daughters and transfer the money there. I think that when they grow up, they will need this money. The judge heard the parties and replied, alimony and the division of the apartment were not claimed in the lawsuit, and the court will not consider them. As for the agreement on the maintenance of the children and the divorce itself, decisions will be made on these issues. The court withdrew to make a decision. Soon, John and Melissa left the courthouse as divorced. The girls, who had been removed from the courtroom after being heard, were sitting on a bench near the bus stop, eating ice cream. Seeing this, John said to them, girls, what are you doing? Ice cream. Eating on the street. It's freezing. What? Couldn't you wait until you got home? We brought ice cream home. And we know that eating ice cream in winter doesn't harm your health and can even cure a sore throat. But that's a paradox. No, Dad. The paradox is that it's easier to catch a cold from ice cream in the summer. Ice cream doesn't melt and run as much as it does in the summer. Okay, what did you decide in court? In court, we got divorced. You will stay with me. Mom will open bank accounts for you and voluntarily transfer alimony there. But you will only be able to dispose of this money after you turn 19. And why 19? Because that's what we decided. Melissa indeed vacated the apartment, as she had promised. She moved in with her parents. There, her mother needed care. With John's consent, she took the girls to her place once a week, although Emily and Victoria went there reluctantly. And once a week, Melissa found time to visit her daughters at their place of residence. In the end, John was alone for a long time. On the next New Year's Eve, he was again on vacation with his grown-up girls at the ski resort. He was practically in the same company, which included Elon's wife's sister, Katia. They started dating, but John was in no hurry to propose. For him, the most important thing in life was his daughters, whom he still had to raise and educate. Katia had no children, but she got along very well with Emily and Victoria. Although there was some jealousy on the part of the girls, John had a good relationship with Melissa, allowing her to visit her daughters and maintaining contact with her. But they were no longer husband and wife, and not friends. Emily and Victoria grew up without causing any trouble for John, who surrounded the girls with fatherly love and care. The appearance of Katia in their lives only strengthened their family. Melissa had a difficult year. Almost one after another, her parents passed away. John helped her with the funerals, but this grief did not bring them closer. Melissa lived alone for a long time, communicating only with her daughters. Then she started dating a widowed man who lived in the neighboring house. The disappeared Arthur Nicholson never reappeared in the city. No one knew where he had gone, not even his wife Kira, who remarried almost immediately after the divorce.